The moon stood bright and round, polished clean as if the heavens wished to witness the moment. In Umoma village, nights like this made the river glisten like liquid silver and coaxed lovers out of hiding. Crickets chirped their playful chorus, and palm leaves swayed with the kind of breeze that felt like nature's blessing. You are welcome to my channel, my dearest listeners. Before we continue this story, I want to ask you for a small favor. If you like my stories, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. In the comment, let me know where you are listening from. It gladdens my heart to know where my listeners are based. Thank you. Adana walked barefoot along the sandy path, holding her woven basket close to her chest, its raffia handle warm against her skin. The evening market had ended, but the scent of roasted maize and spices still lingered in the air. Her wrapper hugged her curves like it was proud of her, and her waist beads chimed softly with each step. She was beauty without arrogance, like a flower that bloomed simply because the world deserved to see it. Under the oldest palm tree by the stream, Chike waited. His hands were rough from carving wood, yet he held a small wooden comb delicately, like a man presenting a world in miniature. He had carved it for her, smoothing every line as though her hair lived inside the grain. When Adana arrived, her smile lit up the clearing more than the lantern he had hung on a branch. "You carved this for me?" she asked, voice soft but dancing with joy. "I carved it with my heart," Chike replied. His voice carried the gentle confidence of a man whose love was honest. She laughed, warm as fresh bread. "Heart is not stand, oh. You cannot carve it." "Then call me a foolish carpenter," he said, stepping closer, "for I carve my heart daily when I think of you." Their fingers brushed, sparks, not the loud kind, but the tender kind that makes one inhale slowly, afraid the moment might shatter. Adana tucked the comb into her hair. "I will wear it on our wedding day," she said. The promise settled between them like a sacred oath. Chike pulled from his pocket a simple ring he shaped out of polished Iroko wood. He slid it gently onto her finger. The palm tree witnessed. "I swear," he said, voice steady as dawn, "to make you my wife. Under this tree, before the moon and the water, I take you as mine." "And I as yours," she vowed. The river breeze carried her words like feathers across the night. They sealed it with a kiss, sweet and uncertain, the kind of kiss that tastes like new beginnings. From the bushes, two tiny eyes watched. The village gossip, Mama Urema, crouched low like a cat guarding fish. Her ears sharpened, catching every word. Love was beautiful, yes, but gossip was her daily bread. She slipped away quietly, already planning the story she would serve with her morning palm wine. Behind the lovers, the wind shifted, a faint rustle, like an ancestor sighing. But neither Chike nor Adana noticed. Their world was just the moon, the palm tree, and the kind of hope that feels too perfect to ever crack. Much later, as they parted ways for the night, Adana turned back once more. Chike stood there still, smiling, watching her leave. The village awoke with a buzzing excitement. The sun shimmered with the energy of celebration, as though even the sky approved of the lovers bound by moonlight. Women pounded yam in rhythm like drummers in a royal court. The smell of fresh palm oil and pepper soup danced through the air. Children ran barefoot across dusty red earth, chasing each other's laughter like butterflies. The news had spread, faster than Adana's heartbeat when Chike smiled. Mama Urema had made sure of it. At the well, she performed like a storyteller with a new tale, voice rising and falling dramatically. Under the palm trio, a ring of Iroko wood, she widened her eyes until they almost swallowed her face. "They have sworn before the moon itself. Marriage is already knocking." The women gasped and giggled. The men stroked their beards thoughtfully. It was no surprise. Everyone had long noticed how Chike's gaze followed Adana like a shadow loyal to sunlight. The village felt joy, like rain promised in Hamatan. Adana moved through the compound, helping her mother with chores, her fingers brushing the wooden ring every few minutes as if to confirm reality. Each touch warmed her like a blessing. Her mother, Mama Nkem, smiled knowingly. "Love looks good on you.
It glows brighter than camwood on fresh skin. Adana blushed. He said he would speak to Papa this evening. Mama Nkem paused, pestle mid-air. Then let us pray your father's heart dances the same rhythm. Papa Obi was a man of tradition, honor to ancestors, respect to lineage. His word could turn a river or harden into stone. Still, he liked Chike. Everyone did. The gentle carpenter built cradles for newborns and coffins for the old with equal care. Hands that shaped wood with patience surely could shape a home. That evening, Chike arrived with his uncle, Ogbueshi Okeke, a respected elder. They wore clean wrappers, kola nuts tucked in a small leather pouch, ready for the formal proposal. Drums sounded in joyous tremors. Palm wine flowed. Elders gathered like clouds before rain. Chike sat with a man's confidence, though his palms were damp. Papa Obi cleared his throat. Chike, son of Nkwe, you have walked into my home today. Speak your reason. Chike rose. His voice was clear like fresh stream water. I have come to ask for Adana's hand in marriage. I love her with truth in my soul. The compound hummed. Adana lowered her gaze shyly as women whispered, eyes shining with delight. Papa Obi nodded. We know you as a hard-working man. This joy fills our home. But tradition requires we know your bloodline well. Whose son was Onkwe's father? A harmless question, like asking a drum where it learned to echo. Chike answered proudly. My grandfather was a Kemba, son of Idike of Umueze clan. The air shifted. Papa Obi froze. Elder men exchanged glances. Mama Urema, lurking like wind through bamboo, gasped with relish. Ogbueshi Okeke's voice dropped quiet as dusk. Ikemba, the man accused of betraying the warriors during the great hunt. A silence thick as Ogbono soup fell. Even crickets paused. The story was old, coated in dust and rumor. During the great hunt decades ago, warriors vanished. Some said Ikemba sold their path for cowries. Others swore it was a lie born from envy. But from that day, the clan whispered of a curse, trailing his bloodline like a shadow that bites softly but bites still. Papa Obi's face hardened. We cannot gamble with ancestors. A curse is a termite. It may chew today or tomorrow, but it will chew. Adana's heart splintered. Papa, it is only a story. Chike is not his grandfather. Papa Obi raised a hand. The line of betrayal cannot build the pillars of my house. He turned to Chike. You are a good man, but the ancestors say no. The wedding songs died mid-breath. Chike's knees weakened, but he stood tall. Hurt glimmered in his eyes like a blade reflecting fire. He bowed, voice breaking like calabash underfoot. If love were wood, I would carve eternity, but I cannot carve away history. He left the compound slowly, each step pulling threads from Adana's heart. Villagers watched the love they admired crumble into dust. Women murmured pity, men shook heads in regret. That night, under the same palm tree that watched their vow, Adana wept. The ring on her finger felt heavier than iron. The breeze no longer carried promise, it carried warning. In the quiet, a distant thunder grumbled across the skies. Thunder rolled across the heavens like a restless giant turning in sleep. The night after the broken proposal felt colder, as though even the moon dimmed out of sympathy. The villagers whispered behind doorways, while fireflies blinked like skeptical witnesses. And beneath the ancient stories buried under soil and silence, something old stirred awake. The next morning, elders gathered beneath the Iroko tree at the village square. Their wrappers rustled like dry leaves as they settled into a circle that smelled of palm wine and old memories. The air was thick, heavy. A meeting like this was not called unless the past demanded to speak. Papa Obi sat among them, jaw tight. Ogbueshi Okeke arrived with Chike at his side, though the young man's spirit looked bruised like yam beaten too long in the mortar. His eyes held anger and heartbreak braided together like a rope. The oldest elder, Nachukwemeka, cleared his throat. His voice had the texture of moon-old agbado, rough yet respected. We speak today of the lineage of Ikemba, he began. The season of forgetting has ended. The story must be told again. Villagers gathered in thinning rings around the elders. Like curious goats, they edged forward quietly. Adana stood among them, eyes swollen from a night of tears. Her fingers never left the wooden ring on her hand. Chukwemeka continued, gaze distant, like he was looking through time. During the great hunt, our warriors ventured into the forest to capture the leopard king. Only 3 returned. They claimed that Ikemba betrayed them, showing the leopard cult their pap in exchange for gold and protection. A murmur rippled through the crowd. But others believed Ikemba innocent, he added. He swore on his life. Yet the leopard men found him later, tied him to the sacred tree, and declared his bloodline cursed. Any one of his seed who attempts to marry outside their lineage would bring misfortune. Weddings would scatter like chaff in harmattan wind. The elders nodded solemnly. The tale tasted old and bitter. Mama Urenma placed her hand dramatically on her chest. Chai, so it is true. A curse in the blood. Chicken's fists tightened. Must I pay forever for a story with holes? Where is proof my grandfather betrayed anyone? Silence fell like a blanket. No one truly knew. Some believed it, some doubted, but belief in a village is like water. Even a drop can ripple wide. Papa Obi exhaled deeply. Tradition protects us. I will not offer my daughter to a lineage shadowed by betrayal. Adana stepped forward, bold as dawn breaking. Papa, love should not bow to fear. Her father's eyes softened for a moment, but the weight of ancestors stood behind him like tall warriors. It must, he said quietly, or it will be crushed. Chicken looked at her, pain stirring behind his steady gaze. For a heartbeat, it felt like the whole world held its breath. The love under the palm tree flickered, fighting for space to breathe. But reality was an unkind referee. The elders stood, meeting dismissed. Words scattered into air like feathers from a burst pillow. Chike walked away slowly, each step echoing like a hammer against wood. Adana wanted to run after him, but her feet felt nailed to the earth. As dusk painted the sky with bruised colors, Adana slipped away from the compound. She found herself back under the palm tree, that faithful witness of love. She pressed her forehead against its trunk. Is love not stronger than old anger? She whispered. From the shadows, a voice answered, soft, hoarse, familiar. Sometimes love is the spark, but curse is the wind. Adana turned, their eyes met like a river meeting the ocean. Hope surged, wild and trembling. They embraced, clinging like drowning souls holding one raft. Run away with me, Adana breathed, desperate. We can start somewhere new, build our life far from whispers. Chike hesitated. A carpenter knew the strength of wood by its grain. He also knew when a plank hides rot beneath polish. If we run from a curse, will it not follow? He asked bitterly. Until truth is found, chains remain. They sat beneath the palm tree in silence, 2 hearts trying to beat as one, while ancestral shadows watched with folded arms. Above them, the moon glimmered like an eye that never blinked. A sudden gust of wind sent palm fronds shivering. Somewhere deep within the woods, a dog howled, sharp and eerie. The curse was awake. And as though summoned by it, a strange omen arrived. 5 fat palm kernels dropped from the tree, without breeze or bird to blame. They landed neatly before the lovers, forming a perfect circle. Adana gasped. Chike recoiled slightly. In Umuoma, palm kernels were tokens used in divination. Dropped like that, and in a circle, it meant a forgotten truth seeks light. The wind whispered through the leaves like a voice carrying secrets. Adana felt a tremor crawl through her spine. The ancestors are calling us to search. Chicken nodded slowly. Then we must answer. Far away, thunder rumbled again. Not loud, but warning, like footsteps approaching from history's long halls. The curse was no longer just a rumor. It had stepped into the living world. Morning light crept into Muoma like a shy visitor. It found Adana seated by her window, chin on her knees, eyes swollen and red. The world outside continued as though nothing shattered. Birds still quarreled over crumbs. Goats bleated for attention. Pounding pestles kept rhythm in neighboring compounds. Life moved, heartache or not. Inside her chest, however, something felt broken. Not loudly, quietly, like a crack running through pottery, invisible until water begins to leak. Mama Nkem entered softly with a bowl of steaming oat pap. She set it down and touched Adana's hair. "Child, you have eaten almost nothing since yesterday." Adana barely blinked. Food does not sit well in a grieving stomach. Her mother sighed, heavy with helpless love. "You cling to this boy like he is breath itself, yet the world you live in is older than the both of you. Tradition has long arms. It does not loosen easily." "Must I suffer because people worship stories they do not even understand?" Adana asked, voice trembling like a candle flame. Before her mother could answer, Papa Obi's firm footsteps approached. He entered with the weight of authority sitting on his shoulders. "Your heart is stubborn," he said simply, "but stubborn hearts have drowned many. You will stay away from Chike. Do not meet him again. It is final." Adana looked up sharply. "Papa!" He raised his hand. The conversation was a closed door. Outside, the village was already wearing gossip like fresh clothes. At the palm wine joint, men debated fate and curses. Women at the stream whispered behind their calabashes. Even children teased one another, chanting, "Iroko love, Iroko curse." Chike could not breathe in such eyes. By midday, he stood before his workshop gathering tools in a sack, chisels, mallets, planes shaped smooth with use. His uncle, Ogbueshi Okeke, watched him quietly, lines of concern carving deeper into his weathered face. "You intend to leave?" Ogbueshi asked. Chike nodded slowly. "The village has turned my name to echo of shame. Every door I pass whispers, every stair weighs. I love Adana, uncle, but how can I ask her to dance where people throw stones?" Ogbueshi pressed a hand on his shoulder. "You are a good man. Leaving may mend wounds or open new ones, but sometimes distance sharpens truth like a blade." Chike exhaled long and tired. "I will go to Oba town, work there, earn my place where no curse chases me." He paused, eyes dark with sadness. "If destiny favors us, paths will cross again." Ogbueshi nodded, though sorrow glimmered in his gaze like dew on morning leaves. As Chike left Umuoma that evening, nobody lined the road to farewell him. Only the rustling trees offered soft applause. But behind a small thicket, Adana stood hidden, wrapper drawn tight around her shoulders. She watched him walk, footsteps slow but deliberate. Her heart screamed to run to him, to hold him, to throw curses at curses and choose love instead. But tradition pressed on her like a stone pressing yam. She whispered into the wind, voice like cracked pottery. "Chike." He stopped for a heartbeat, as if he heard his name carried on the breeze. He looked around, eyes searching the shadows, but she did not step out. She did not call louder. Some loves break quietly. He continued walking, silhouette growing smaller until the trees swallowed it like a secret. Adana sank to her knees. Dust clung to her palms like memory. Tears carved silent paths down her cheeks. At home, Papa Obi watched her return. His expression was stern, but inside him something tugged. A father's love tangled with fear of ancestral wrath. Days turned into weeks, weeks into moons. Chike worked in Oba town, shaping wood the way heartbreak shapes a man. He carved chairs too gentle to be ordinary, tables steady like promises unkept. Each stroke of his knife felt like writing Adana's name in grain lines. In Umuoma, Adana faded like evening light. She spoke less, rarely laughed. At night, she sat under the palm tree alone, tracing the wooden ring with trembling fingers. Some evenings, she swore she felt Chike's presence beside her, like a memory that refused to die. The palm tree stood tall, ancient, unmoved by heartache, yet witness to it all. Seasons shifted. Harmattan dust coated roofs like old memories. Life, stubborn as cassava roots, continued, but beneath it, quiet longing pulsed like a drum too faint for dancing. One market day, while selecting tomatoes, Adana overheard two old women gossiping. They say the carpenter has grown prosperous in Oba. His furniture now sits in chiefs' homes. Ah, a man can run from curse but cannot outrun destiny. Let us watch. Life is a calabash. What you pour today returns tomorrow. Adana held her basket tighter. Pride warmed her briefly. Pain followed swiftly behind. Some nights, she dreams of Chike's hands, wood shavings in his hair, and smiles gentle as dawn after rain. Other nights, she dreamt of palm kernels falling in circles and shadows whispering of truth buried deep. Chike was gone, but the curse was still alive, watching, waiting, breathing through soil and stories. For love has been cast into exile, but exile is not the end. It is only the place where destiny gathers strength. Oba town welcomed Chike the way a new log welcomes a sharp blade. It resisted at first, unfamiliar, but soon yielded to skill and persistence. He rented a small shed near the roadside, its walls smelling of old sawdust and forgotten dreams. Day after day he worked, letting wood speak to him. Working with timber was his way of thinking, of breathing, of surviving heartbreak. His hands carved chairs with backs curved like gentle smiles, stools solid as oath words, beds smooth enough to cradle sleep without complaint. Villagers began to speak his name with respect. Soon, chiefs sent their sons to place orders. A merchant once said, "Your wood carries peace in its grain," and Chike only nodded, for words like that touched the sore parts of him. At night, when the moon hung like a silver coin forgotten in the sky, he sat outside his shed, sipping palm wine he barely tasted. He would turn the little scraps of wood in his fingers, carving tiny combs, hairpins, miniature palm leaves. Always something delicate, always something that reminded him of Adana. When he finished, he kept them in a box he never opened twice. His uncle had been right. Time did not heal everything, but it softened the edges. The pain that once roared like thunder now hummed like distant drums. Still there, but no longer demanding to be heard every moment. Yet in Umuoma, life pressed forward like a stubborn goat. Adana tried to bury herself in chores, market days, festivals, but her smile never reached her eyes. Papa Obi noticed. Mama Nkem noticed. Even old Mama Urema, gossip queen of the village, paused once and muttered, "Heartbreak has carved her slimmer than bamboo shoot after dry season." Adana kept the wooden ring hidden beneath her wrapper, close to her skin, close to memory. One evening, rain fell without warning, heavy, wild rain that cleansed roofs and hearts alike. Adana stood at her doorway, watching villagers run for shelter, laughter mixing with thunder. The sky smelled like rebirth, or like endings, hard to tell which. She stepped into the rain slowly, letting it wash her face. She closed her eyes, and for a moment, she imagined Chike beside her, palms open, catching droplets like blessings. She whispered his name, but only rain answered. That same night, far in Oba, Chike awoke from a dream with his heart pounding like drum on festival night. In the dream, he stood beneath the sacred palm tree. The moon was red like an angry eye. Adana reached for him, but a shadowy figure pulled her away. When he tried to run, the earth beneath him cracked open. He fell endlessly, hearing whispers, "Find the truth, the truth, the truth." He sat up on his bamboo mat, sweat cold against his back. He lit a small oil lamp and reached for the box of tiny wooden carvings. His fingers trembled on the lid, but he did not open it. Instead, he whispered to the night, "I have not forgotten." The curse was stirring even in dreams. Weeks turned to months. Harmattan returned with dusty breath, leaving lips cracked and nights cold. One market day, Chike delivered furniture to a wealthy trader who admired his craft. "You walk like a man possessed," the trader laughed lightly. Is it love or sorrow driving your blade? Chike smiled thinly. Are they not the same sometimes? The trader nodded, as though understanding deeper than Chike intended. That evening, while closing his shed, a stranger approached, a woman draped in white wrapper, her hair locked with cowries. Her eyes held something fierce, like fire that remembers the first spark. She said, "You are Ikemba's grandson," without greeting. Chike stiffened. "And who asks?" "I am Nwayeuru, daughter of the seer who witnessed the great hunt. I have come with a message." Her voice carried the weight of old secrets. "The truth of the curse sleeps in your village. A seed of betrayal lies buried, not in your bloodline, but in another." Chike's heart thudded like a hammer hitting stubborn wood. Why come now? The river of fate has begun to swell. When a heart is wronged, the ancestors do not sleep forever. He swallowed hard. How do I prove innocence? She looked at him deeply. Return. Seek the hidden record of Ikemba's trial. It lies where shadows burn brightest. If you do not uncover it soon, love will be lost again, and this time forever. Before he could speak further, she turned and walked away into the dusk as if swallowed by twilight. Chike stood rooted. The shed behind him felt small, like a shell that could no longer contain who he must become. The box of tiny wooden carvings waited at home like a chest of unspoken stories. In Umoma, Adana continued to smile for people, but she slept with tears on her pillow. She helped Mama and Kem weave baskets, fetched water from the stream, sang at moon festivals. Yet everything she touched felt lighter than it used to, as though her soul no longer leaned fully inside her body. One afternoon, she returned from the market and found Papa Obi sitting quietly under the mango tree. "Come, sit," he said. She obeyed, cautious. "You have obeyed us. You stayed away from Chike. You have done well." His voice faltered. "But I see your spirit dim, like lantern low on oil. A father does not wish to watch his child drown in sorrow." A tear escaped Adana's eye. "I miss him, Papa." He inhaled deeply. "Perhaps, with time, wounds close. But some wounds only heal when truth is known," she whispered. Papa Obi said nothing. His silence was the sound of a man who feared he might be wrong. Meanwhile, Chike stared at the road back to Umoma. Memory called to him like a drum calling dancers to the square. The curse had chased him long enough. Now he felt it pulling him home, not with claws, but with unfinished truth. He packed his tools slowly, as though making peace with wood itself. He placed the box of tiny wooden carvings on top, the ring of Iroko glowing faintly in the lamplight. On the night before he left Oba town, he carved one last piece, a small figurine of a woman standing beneath a palm tree, head lifted to moonlight. He held it to his chest like prayer. "Adana," he whispered. Wood and sorrow, side by side, had shaped him into a different man. And as he stepped onto the road home the next morning, dawn behind him and destiny ahead, the scent of sawdust trailed like memory. Love was returning. So was the curse. The Amatan wind arrived early that year, sweeping through Umuoma like a white veil. Dust clung to rooftops, coated cassava leaves, blurred distant hills into soft ghost shapes. With it came news, loud as a talking drum. Chief Nana had returned from the city. His convoy of shining cars groaned down the dusty village road like metal beasts unused to red earth. Children ran along chasing them, cheering as though a festival had landed. Women peeked from doorways, adjusting wrappers, wiggling brows. Even elders nodded with approval. After all, Chief Nana was no ordinary son of Umuoma. He was a man rumored to dine with politicians, own properties, and command wealth like a man commands goats with a stick. When he stepped out of his car, gold glinted from his wrist like captured sunlight. His beard was well-groomed, his agbada flowed grandly, and he smiled like a man who never lost anything he wanted. He hadn't forgotten Adana. Rumor said that years back, before she fell in love with Chike, Chief Nana admired her quietly, like moon admiring water. But she had eyes only for the carpenter with shavings in his hair. Now he returned to reclaim what slipped through his fingers. The evening he arrived, village elders feasted in his honor. Goats were slaughtered, palm wine flowed like praise. Drums sang, flutes flirted with night breeze. Chief Nana sat on a carved stool, regal as a lion in its territory. Papa Obi and Mama Nkem attended the feast. Adana walked behind them, not eager but dutiful. Her heart trembled like a leaf trying not to fall. She felt the whole village watching her, weighing her future like yam on a scale. Chief Nana's eyes found her instantly. He rose, welcomed them with warmth too polished to be ordinary. Adana, he said, with a deep voice that rolled like rich thunder, the moon praises you tonight. You shine more than I remember. Adana smiled politely, though her heart felt like clay still wet from tears. Thank you, Chief. He looked at Papa Obi. May I visit your home tomorrow? There is a matter dear to my heart. Papa Obi, thinking of lineage, safety, wealth, nodded before hesitation had room to interfere. You are welcome, my son. Adana's stomach knotted. She excused herself, stepping away into the evening air. She needed distance, breath, clarity. The market square lanterns flickered like hundreds of watching eyes. At the same moment, miles away on the lonely road from Oba, Chike was already returning to Omooma. A small traveling bag hung over his shoulder. His heart beat fast, each step like a promise marching toward unfinished story. Inside that bag lay the small figurine of the woman beneath the palm tree, a token of love, a reminder, a question. He imagined Adana's smile when she saw him again. He imagined her running to him, wooden ring shining back at him like sunrise. He imagined. But destiny doesn't walk one road. It splits like yam tendrils, twisting under soil unseen. Next morning, Chief Nana arrived at Papa Obi's compound dressed in rich burgundy fabric, anklets jingling softly. He presented gifts, bags of rice, crates of malt drinks, 2 fat goats, wrappers luxurious enough to make a queen sigh. Village women whispered, if a man arrives like this, wedding bells hide behind his footsteps. Chief Nana spoke calmly but firmly. I wish to take Adana as my wife. I will honor her, honor your family. No curse touches my house. My name carries protection. My wealth will carry her like a river carries boats. Papa Obi's eyes gleamed with possibility. He glanced at Mama Nkem, who nodded slowly, though regret flickered like candle before wind. Adana's heart lurched. She felt like a bird being offered a golden cage, beautiful, comfortable, unfree. She spoke carefully. Chief, I am honored, truly, but my heart, your heart has suffered long enough. Let me heal what others broke. His kindness was disarming, his presence like silk over a wound. For a moment, she almost felt safe near him. Almost. The village buzzed for days. Chief Nana showered Adana's family with gifts, repaired the village well, even donated funds for the school roof. People began to whisper, Adana will soon be a chief's wife. Papa Obi smiled more often. He walked with lighter steps. At night, he sat polishing kola nuts, imagining future children on golden carpets. Mama Nkem watched Adana closely. One night, under a sky quiet as held breath, she sat beside her daughter, weaving raffia mats. You are troubled, Mama Nkem murmured. Adana sighed deeply. My heart knows one road, but life keeps pushing me to another. Her mother touched her hand gently. Sometimes love returns, sometimes it does not. We cannot hold rain in our fists. Adana looked up at the stars, eyes soft with longing. I feel a storm coming, Mama. And she was right, because at dawn, as the village roosters announced stubborn morning, a figure walked into Moma, dusty feet steady, eyes filled with purples. Chike had returned. He paused before the village square, inhaling memories heavy as palm wine. He knew nothing of Chief Nana's gifts, nothing of approaching marriage talks, nothing of how Adana's heart walked shaky ground. He stood beneath the sacred palm tree, the one that witnessed their vow. He touched its rough bark like greeting an old friend. "I am home," he whispered. Across the village, Adana felt something tug sharply inside her chest, like strings being pulled by invisible hands. She froze. She knew that feeling. A heart recognizes its echo. And so, the stage was set. Two men, one love, a curse stretching its fingers, a truth buried beneath years of dust waiting for the brave. The village was about to witness the return of old flames and the birth of new storms.
The night fell over Umoma like a thick velvet curtain, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and smoke from the evening fires. Lanterns flickered on verandas, casting shadows that danced like restless spirits. Even the palm tree that had witnessed Adana and Chike's first vow seemed taller, older, as if it had grown overnight, anticipating the night's unrest. Adana sat by the window of her family compound, staring at the road. Her heart thumped erratically, like the wings of a trapped bird, at the memory of Chike standing beneath the palm tree, dust-streaked and determined. She had not yet told Chief Nana about him, not yet, because even speaking his name would unravel a thread she did not want to pull just yet. Meanwhile, far across the village, Chike's eyes scanned the familiar roofs and dirt paths. The air smelled of home, smoky, sweet, alive, but something else lurked beneath the ordinary scents: unease. His fingers traced the small wooden figurine he carried. The woman beneath the palm tree seemed almost alive in his hand, as if urging him to look closer, to dig deeper, to remember. The first strange signs appeared that evening. A sudden gust of wind swept through the village, howling between roofs, rattling doors, and making the palm fronds shiver violently. Lanterns swung wildly, extinguishing one by one, leaving patches of darkness. At the market square, a rooster crowed, though it was past midnight. Mama Orema, never one to miss an omen, hobbled through the streets, muttering curses and prayers. "The night knows, the night remembers," she said, pointing toward the sacred palm tree. Adana shivered despite the warmth of her wrapper. She felt compelled to step outside, as though invisible hands were urging her to the tree. When she arrived, Chike was already there, his face half lit by the moon. A sudden hush fell over the night. Not silence, but a presence, like the village itself was holding its breath. "Adana?" Chike whispered, her voice almost swallowed by the wind. "Adana?" he replied, voice low, steady, yet carrying the weight of the years they had spent apart. "I have returned, but something is wrong." Before she could ask, the ground beneath the tree trembled. Small cracks appeared near its roots, and 5 palm kernels rolled from the branches to form a perfect pentagon. The same omen from years ago, but now the kernels were scorched black at the edges, as if fire had touched them. Adana reached toward them instinctively, but Chike's hand stopped hers. "This is no ordinary sign," he said. His eyes darted toward the village. "The curse, it has awakened fully." The air grew heavier. From the shadows, a voice seemed to whisper. Not one person spoke it, not two, a chorus of murmurs echoing from everywhere at once. Truth, betrayal, blood. Adana's heart raced. She realized that the ancestors' warnings were no longer just superstition. They were alive, reaching, testing. Chike knelt beside the kennels. "We need to know the truth, the real truth behind the curse," he said. "The story that condemned my grandfather, or someone will be condemned again." The wind shifted suddenly, carrying the faint strains of an old song, the song the village storyteller had sung decades ago, the one about betrayal during the Great Hunt. But the words were different now, clearer, sharper. Not the sun, but the hand that deceived. Adana's breath caught. "Do you hear that?" He nodded. "Someone or something wants us to remember, to uncover what was hidden."
Lightning split the sky. Thunder followed immediately, louder than any storm the village had seen in living memory. In the flickering light, the shadows beneath the palm trees stretched unnaturally. For the briefest moment, Adana thought she saw figures of warriors trapped in some half-world, pointing toward the heart of the village. She clutched the wooden ring. It's coming back. The curse. It's not just your family anymore. It's ours. Chike stood slowly, his jaw tight. Then we cannot wait. The truth has to be found before this curse destroys everything again. A crow cawed nearby, wings silhouetted against the moon. Mama Orema appeared at the edge of the clearing, wide-eyed, clutching her beads. The leopard men, they walk again, she rasped, trembling. History is repeating. If the truth is not uncovered, blood will fall and love will be lost. Adana and Chike exchanged the glance. The old fear, the same one that had torn them apart years ago, surged back, but now it was tempered by resolution. We have no choice, Chike said. We must seek the hidden record, the diary, the proof, whatever shows who betrayed who. Adana nodded, fear twisting into determination. And we find it together. The wind howled louder, rattling the palm tree like the drum beats of war. Somewhere deep in the village, a bell rang, though no church or shrine had sounded it. The night had stirred, alive with curses, whispers, and secrets long buried. And above them, the moon glimmered, cold and watchful, as if it had always known that the next move in their story would decide more than just love. It would decide life, death, and the very memory of a betrayal that had haunted generations. The cursed night had returned, and nothing in Umoma would ever be the same again.
The sun rose over Umuoma, but its light felt uneasy, as though the village itself hesitated to witness the day. Birds chirped cautiously, and the usual morning bustle was subdued. Even the river seemed quieter, flowing with a hesitant murmur, carrying secrets downstream. Adona and Chike met again under the sacred palm tree. Her wooden ring still shone faintly, catching the first rays of the sun. The kernels from the previous night remained in their scorched pentagon, as if guarding something beneath. We have to find it today, Chike said, determination hardening his features. The diary, the letters, anything that proves the real betrayal. Adona nodded. Papa said everything was buried after the trial, in the old shrine, the one abandoned near the forest edge. Together, they walked through the village, avoiding gossiping eyes. Mama Urenma had already begun spreading rumors about Chike's sudden return. The villagers watched with curiosity, excitement, and some fear. The tension in Umuoma was palpable, like smoke before fire. The shrine stood abandoned, its walls cracked, roof sagging. Moss crept over the stones, roots tangled like veins through the earth. Chike pushed open the creaking wooden door, and the smell of damp earth and old parchment hit them. Dust danced in the slanting sunbeams that pierced the broken roof. At the center of the shrine lay a stone chest, its lid covered in moss and faded carvings. Chike and Adona knelt before it. Chike brushed the moss aside and lifted the lid with trembling hands. Inside, stacked neatly, were parchment tied with faded ribbons and a leather-bound diary, edges frayed and worn. Adona's breath caught. This is it. Chike carefully untied the parchments. The first letters were written in hurried script, detailing the day of the great hunt. Names were listed, orders given, promises made and broken. One letter marked with a crimson seal caught Chike's eye. His hand trembled as he read aloud. The men from Umueje will be betrayed, not by me, but by one close to the elders. The plan is to pin the blame on Ikemba to cover my own treachery. Adona's eyes widened. Then the curse, the story. They accused your grandfather, but it wasn't him. Chike's voice was tight with disbelief. All these years, he carried shame that wasn't his. The real betrayer, someone else plotted it.
He opened the diary next. The pages, fragile but preserved, contained detailed accounts of the elders' meetings, secret alliances, and names carefully hidden. At the very end, one entry stood out, ink darker than the rest. Ikemba will be blamed, for no one will suspect the man closest to him, the one who whispers in the ears of the elders. Let history remember the wrong man. Adonna put a hand on Chike's shoulder. We have proof now. The truth can finally come out. Chike closed his fist around the diary. But this will shake the village. The curse, it has kept everyone fearful. Some will not accept the truth easily. Adonna nodded, determination blazing. Better the truth than generations of lies. They left the shrine carefully, carrying the diary and letters, like treasures and weapons at once. Shadows followed them through the forest, as if the curse itself lingered, reluctant to relinquish its hold. When they returned to the village, Chike went straight to Papa Obi. The elders were gathered, a mixture of curiosity and tension etched into their faces. Adonna handed the diary to her father, her voice steady. Papa, the story you believed, the curse you feared was built on lies. My love was punished for a betrayal that never happened. The true traitor is named here. It is not Chike's bloodline. Silence fell. The village held its breath. Even the wind seemed to pause. Ogweshi Okeke stepped forward, voice trembling with respect. It is time, Papa Obi, to see what generations have hidden. Papa Obi opened the diary with careful hands, reading the truth that had been buried under fear and superstition. His face went pale, then thoughtful. At last he spoke, voice firm yet tinged with regret. The curse, the blame, all misdirected. It was never the carpenter's family. All this time, love suffered for another's sin. Adonna exhaled slowly, a weight lifting from her chest. She glanced at Chike, whose eyes reflected relief, disbelief, and something that felt dangerously like hope. Mama Nkem stepped forward, tears brimming. Finally, the child of Ikemba is free from this shadow. Even Mama Urenma, hiding nearby, muttered in awe. So it was the wrong name all along. Oh, the tales we told. The truth was out. The mask had been removed. But freedom always carries its own tension. The villagers must now face the consequences of generations of fear. The real traitor still unpunished, and love waiting in the shadows to see if hearts can finally mend. Adonna turned to Chike. The moonlight caught the wooden ring on her finger, gleaming brighter than before. We can try again, she whispered. Chike nodded, lifting the figurine of the woman under the palm tree. This time, nothing will stand between us.
The village of Umuoma was restless. Word of the diary and letters spread like wildfire, igniting curiosity, relief, and old resentments. The elders gathered under the giant Iroko tree, murmuring and gesturing. Some felt vindicated, others feared that years of lies unraveling would shake the very foundation of their authority. Amid the chaos, Chike arrived at the village square, carrying nothing but his tools and the small wooden figurine of the woman beneath the palm tree. His eyes were steady, voice calm but carrying a quiet power that had grown from years of exile, toil, and heartbreak. The villagers stopped to watch him. Even children paused mid-chase. They had known him as the gentle carpenter, the boy who once loved beneath the moonlit palm tree. Now, he returned not just as a lover, but as the bearer of truth. Papa Obi stepped forward, his expression still tinged with caution. Chike, you have returned. Chike bowed respectfully. I have returned, Papa Obi, not to fight, not to accuse, but to help repair what has been broken, to prove that love, even tested by lies and curses, can still stand. Adana appeared behind her father, her hand brushing the wooden ring. Her heart raced, but she held herself with newfound resolve.
She had spent years learning to survive without him, yet she had never stopped loving him. Chike raised the diary and letters. The curse that haunted my family, my love, was built on a lie. The true traitor is named here. Justice has been delayed, yes, but truth cannot be silenced forever. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Mama Orema gawked, jaw slack. Chai, all this time we blamed the wrong bloodline? Papa Wee's eyes softened. It seems so. His voice carried both sorrow and relief. I see now that my fear, though meant to protect, caused harm instead. I have judged too harshly. Chike placed the figurine carefully on the ground beneath the sacred palm tree. This tree saw our vow. It witnessed our love before lies tore us apart. Tonight, we honor that vow. But first, I must ask you all, will you allow love to heal what fear has broken? The village elders exchanged glances. Some nodded slowly, others whispered amongst themselves. At last, Ogbo Eshiokeke spoke. It is time. Let the truth restore what the curse has tried to destroy. Adana stepped forward, tears brimming, yet her chin was high. Chike, we have waited long for this moment. Will you? Before she could finish, a sudden shout erupted from the far side of the square. Chief Nana, who had arrived days earlier hoping to secure Adana's hand, strode forward, his face a mixture of anger, confusion, and realization. So this is true. The curse, the betrayal, it is not his bloodline? Chike looked at him calmly. Truth does not belong to wealth, Chief. It belongs to justice. For a heartbeat, silence blanketed the village. Then murmurs swelled into whispers, whispers into conversations, and conversations into declarations. The villagers turned their attention fully to the carpenter and the woman who had waited beneath the palm tree. Chief Nana's jaw tightened. He looked at Adana. She met his gaze squarely. I thank you for your care, she said, voice steady. But my heart, it has always known where it belongs. Chike extended his hand. Adana, will you honor the vow we made under the palm tree all those years ago? The villagers held their breath. The wind rustled the palm fronds like applause. Adana took his hand, eyes shimmering with tears and joy. Yes, yes, Chike. The elders murmured blessings. Even Mama Orema reluctantly muttered, May the ancestors forgive us. Chike smiled, the weight of years finally lifting from his shoulders. His hands, once only skilled at shaping wood, now held the power to shape destiny. As the sun began to dip behind the distant hills, casting golden light over the village, the couple stood beneath the sacred palm tree. Beneath it, Chike and Adana faced the culmination of years of heartbreak, deception, and longing. The villagers gathered silently, knowing that tonight would decide not just the fate of two lovers, but the fate of a story that had haunted generations. Chike held the diary tightly, its leather cover worn but powerful, the proof of innocence and the revelation of betrayal. Adana's hand rested on his, the wooden ring catching the moonlight like a signal of hope. The moment was tense, fragile as a bird's egg perched on a branch. Then the wind shifted. From the shadows of the village, a figure emerged, tall, shrouded in dark cloth, the eyes glinting with malice. The real traitor, the one whose cunning had condemned Ikemba and nearly destroyed love itself, had returned to witness the final chapter. You think the truth frees you? The figure hissed. History bends for no one. You have meddled with forces you do not understand. The villagers gasped. Mama Orema stumbled back, clutching her beads. Chief Nana, standing at the edge of the crowd, felt unease twist through his chest like a cold knife. Chike stepped forward, jaw set. You used lies to curse generations. Your time ends tonight." The traitor laughed, low and cruel, and pointed a hand toward the palm tree. Suddenly, the ground trembled. The palm kernels from the previous night rattled violently, and shadows stretched unnaturally across the village square. A surge of cold wind swept through, carrying whispers of old curses, betrayal, blood, pain. Adana's heart pounded. She gripped Chike's hand tightly. "We face this together," she whispered. The traitor lunged, but the villagers, emboldened by the revelation of truth, blocked him. Ogbeshi Okeke raised his staff, chanting ancestral prayers that echoed through the night. The wind responded, whipping the traitor backward, making him stumble over his own fear. Chike stepped closer, raising the diary. "This is the proof of your deceit. Your lies will not claim another generation." The traitor shrieked, trying to snatch the diary, but the sacred palm tree seemed to animate itself, the fronds twisting as if alive, blocking the figure with nature's wrath. Thunder cracked above, lightning illuminating the horror on the traitor's face. Adana, her voice ringing like silver bells, recited the vows she and Chike had made under this tree years ago. "We honor love, truth, and life. Nothing lies, nothing fear, and nothing curse can separate us again." The wind roared, carrying her words far into the forest. The shadowed figure wailed and fell to his knees. The curses that had lingered in the village seemed to collapse, evaporating like mist under the sun. The threat was neutralized. The diary and the truth had broken the power of fear. Silence followed, a silence heavy with awe and relief. Papa Obi stepped forward, tears streaking his weathered face. "It is done. The bloodline of Ikemba is cleared. Love has triumphed where fear once ruled." Chief Nana, humbled by the events, bowed slightly to the couple. "The heart cannot be commanded by gold or fear. Yours belongs together, as it should have all along." Adana smiled through tears. "It has waited a long time, Chief, but my heart, it always belonged to him." Chike pulled her close beneath the palm tree, the moonlight wrapping them like a silver cloak. For the first time in years, the wind was gentle, carrying only the fragrance of palm leaves and river mist. The villagers erupted in celebration. Drums beat, flutes sang, and women danced barefoot across the square. Even Mama Urema clapped with a hesitant smile, admitting silently that she had witnessed history corrected. Chike and Adana exchanged a long, unbroken gaze. Years of exile, heartbreak, and fear melted into the warmth of this moment. The curse, the lies, and the shadows of the past had no claim over their future. Beneath the palm tree, surrounded by the people of Umuoma, the carpenter and the village beauty finally sealed their love, not just with vows, but with the triumph of truth and courage. The night air was filled with laughter, music, and the quiet hum of destiny restored. For once, the stars seemed to shine just for them, as if acknowledging that some love, though tested by time and shadow, can never truly be broken. And as the first light of dawn kissed the horizon, Chike whispered to Adana, "We are home, and this time nothing can take us from each other." Adana smiled, resting her head against his chest. Home and free. The palm tree stood tall, witness to a vow kept, a curse undone, and a love that had finally conquered history itself.